We are in Ecclesiastes 5, and I guess I'll go back just so we can see the last thing we looked at last time. We ended class talking about what it says there. When goods increase, they increase that eat them. So the more someone's blessed, and the more things they have, the more people that are needed to take care of those things, and so it's just a kind of a vicious circle. Bottom line is, you can't take it with you when you go. Gaining more and more stuff isn't what the real answer is. I mean, it's okay to get more stuff. I mean, God blesses us with stuff, but what's important is that we understand that we need to enjoy what God gives us, not just keep looking for more all the time. And he's going to continue that idea here as we go into the next set of verses in verse 13. He said, "There is a severe evil which I have seen under the sun." And by that evil, he's not necessarily talking about evil in the sense of moral evil, like Satan is evil, but he's talking about a for lack of a better term, just a bad situation, not a good thing. And this is really not good. He says, which I have seen. Where does he see it? Under the sun. He keeps saying that over and over again here on this earth. This living life just under the sun. This happens and it's not good. It says riches kept for their owner to his hurt. And that word hurt there, I put the definition over there. It means distress or misery. And so riches kept for their owner to his own misery. One of the rich people that I can think of as pretty miserable was Ebenezer Scrooge. We all know that story. He had plenty of money, more than the other people around him, but he wasn't happy, and he was just a big grump. I know that's a made-up character, but we have people like that. It wouldn't be as interesting of a story if it wasn't something that people were familiar with, and so that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. And he says, but those riches perish through misfortune. You can collect everything you want. And I think, Gene, you mentioned last week about the parable of the man that built more barns and just was blessed so much, he just said, well, I'll just build more barns to hold more stuff. And then what happened?
Now you're so required to.
Yeah. The misfortune he encountered was he lost his life. He died of something, and so those riches perished as far as he was concerned. In connection with that, it says, well, before I go further, there's all kinds of misfortunes that can happen. You accumulate a bunch of money. What am I going to do with it? I could buy land. I could put it in a box and bury it, or I could give it to the bank and get 2% interest, or I could invest it and pretty good chance of making 8% interest or something like that. What am I going to do? Well, most likely I'm going to put it in a IRA kind of account where I can make the most money from it. But what happens when the stock crashes? You lose it. The misfortune happens, those riches perish. And so that's the kind of thing that happens under the sun. Nothing is a given. There's a saying I don't remember where it came from, but it was you pays your money and you takes your chances. And that's kind of how life is under the sun. Nothing is guaranteed. Things happen that we just don't expect. And so then he says, when he begets a son, there's nothing in his hand. what he's saying is one of the reasons why we try to accumulate stuff is so that we can provide for our family, provide for our son or daughter when they're born. But if you collect all this stuff and then some misfortune takes it away from you, and then you have a child doesn't have anything either. And so that's what he's dealing with. This is a bad thing that happens under the sun. It's just how things work on earth. Mostly because when these misfortunes happen, what is it usually? Because some man or men did something and it caused the stock market to crash or whatever. It's usually some misfortunes like a Ponzi scheme or something like that. You lose all your money in one of those, and so it's not necessarily God causing all these misfortunes. It's just stuff that happens under the sun. God does chastise us, so He does do stuff from time to time to help us get straight. But a lot of the stuff that happens isn't because of Him, but it affects not just you, it affects your child, like it says here. When this misfortune happens to you, it also has happened to your son. He doesn't have anything when he comes into this world. No legacy or no inheritance from you to help him along. So anyway, in verse 15, he says, as he came from his mother's womb, naked shall he return, to go as he came, and he shall take nothing from his labor which he may carry away in his hand. This is that whole no profit thing that we've been seeing all through so far. And that is you come into the world with nothing, and you go out of the world with nothing. This is where we get the phrase, you come into the world naked and you leave naked. And that's where it comes from. Here is from Ecclesiastes. Solomon has already given the illustration of you're made from dirt and you return to dirt. And here he is using the one of naked to back to naked. In other words, you just don't have anything more when you leave this earth than you had when you started. There's no profit, and that is under the sun. And we're not talking about above the sun. This is life on earth. So he repeats this over and over again just to emphasize the fact that we got to get it out of our heads that we can profit from this life, as far as this earth is concerned. And he's going to be coming to the conclusion that it's not the only way you can have more than you started with is when you're talking in spiritually, when you fear God and keep His commandments. That's just a spoiler alert that most of us probably already know it anyway, but that's what he's going to be driving towards, just hammered it into our heads. This life is not where it's at. Stuff happens, severe evil happens. Not to discourage us. He's already told us 3 times, I think already, this, I've seen that it's good for man just to enjoy what God gives him, and idea of taking time to enjoy what you have instead of just trying over and over again to get more and more and more. That's not where the answer is. He's going to continue that idea in verse 16. He says, and this also is a severe evil, another bad thing under the sun, just exactly as he came, so shall he go. And what profit has he who's labored for the wind? All his days he also eats in darkness, and he has much sorrow and sickness and anger. Talking about a person who is describing his attitude or his state of mind, I guess. Eating in darkness, sorrow, sickness, anger. We all know that, there's people that you come up to them, and the one thing you don't want to ask them is how you doing, because they'll tell you. over and over again. Oh, woe is me, everything's bad. And so, uh, you know, just don't enjoy food and just, people are dying around me and all this negativity, sickness in there and anger, all these bad attitudes. Uh, that comes from having the wrong approach to life. I put over the side that Earth Dweller often focuses on the negative, and we do. We often focus on the negative. I have to admit I've been that way more than I would like to be myself. You're going to see something more about this in verse 20, but I'm not going to go up there just yet. We'll see it when we get to it. We're not too far away from it. But the next thing he does is the fourth of 6 of those statements that we've just been talking about. And this is a long one. He says, here's what I have seen. So remember what he started off. I set aside to find out how things go under the sun. That's what he set out to do in his life, and that's where this book came from. And so he says, here's what I've seen. Here's one of my conclusions. It is good and fitting for one to eat and drink and to enjoy the good of all his labor in which he toils under the sun all the days of his life which God gives him, for it is his heritage. This is exactly the same thing he's been saying 3 times already. Now this is the 4th time. It's good and fitting to enjoy what God has given you all of your life. You can do this. It's your heritage. It's what we inherit from God. It's His blessing that gets us where we are, and He wants us to enjoy it. He wouldn't have blessed us with these things if He didn't want us to enjoy them. So that's what we need to do: is concentrate, pay attention to those things instead of whining and complaining about our state or whatever, and trying to get more and more. Just enjoy what you have. He'd continue this in the next uh, verse in 19. He says, "For every man, or as for every man to whom God has given riches and wealth, and given him the power to eat of it, to receive his heritage and rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God." Now, where I emphasize the word receive there, and just like there's hearing and then there's hearing, you can, did you hear what I said? Yeah. Well, what did I say? I don't know. I heard it, but I don't know what you said. Well, there's receiving and then there's receiving. God gives us blessings. The sun falls on us, and the rain comes and all that. We receive the blessings, but do we really receive it? Do we get the message? That's what he's talking about here. He says he's given wealth and the power to eat of it. That is the authority to eat of it, or the opportunity, I guess, to eat of it, to receive his heritage. This is God blessing, a heritage, inheritance from God for us, but we've got to receive it. It comes, we have it, but have we really received it if we don't enjoy it, if we don't get the good out of it that it was intended to be? So that's what he's really talking about. We need to receive these blessings from God and rejoice in our labor. I worked to get this. God has blessed me for working to get this, and He's given me what I have, and I need to appreciate it. I need to enjoy it. This is the gift of God. It's from God. We're not doing something we shouldn't if we enjoy what God's given us. It's okay to enjoy it. It's okay to be happy. Maybe there's other people around us that aren't happy, but it's okay for us to do. That's what God wants us to do, wants everybody to do. And so then he says in verse 24, that is, here's why by doing the above, I put that in in italics there because I added it in there. Here's what he's referring to is if you do what I've just been talking about, here's why he will not dwell unduly on the days of his life, because God keeps him busy with the joys of his heart. And back in verse 17, we saw the person, sickness and anger and sorrow and all that, just dwelling on the negative stuff. The person that receives God's blessings and enjoys it, he's not going to be dwelling unduly on the days of his life. He's not going to be concentrating on everything bad that happens. And here's why: because God keeps him busy with the joy of his heart. If we take a positive attitude and find and see, actually receive the blessings that God has given to us, they're all around us. We just have to see it. We have to receive it and take it in, enjoy it. It's like, well, my mom, when we would go somewhere, we went to Grand Canyon. We took her to Grand Canyon, and we got out of the car. At every stop along the way. If you've been to Grand Canyon, there's stops and with different views all along the canyon there. It stopped, and we would get out and go look over the edge and take in the view, really soak it in. But my mom sat in the car. Oh, I can see it okay. And it's like, come on, Mom, get out of the car. Come enjoy this creation of God. None of us could ever understand why she didn't really get out and really enjoy that stuff. She did on other occasions, she'd take a cruise or something and enjoy stuff. But anyway, we all have our quirks. But if we are concentrating on the good stuff, then the bad stuff doesn't have a place in our life. We don't dwell on that kind of stuff. And that's why, because God keeps him busy with the joy of his heart. God is the source of everything that we can have joy about. And so when we do appreciate it and enjoy it, then it's God that is keeping us busy. So that's what he's dealing with here. It's God intended for us.
You're gonna say the song is "Count Your Many Blessings" pretty well sums up everything you're saying.
Yeah, and how often have I ever sung that song? Yeah, it's good to count your blessings, and then go home. Did I count anything? No. Yeah, we do need to take that time. That's one of the things that we can do in prayer is just itemize stuff that we can appreciate and really receive. And there's just a million things, or probably, well, there's definitely more than a million things that we can soak up that come from God, that if we dwell on those things, and we don't have time to do the complaining and the worries and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that is a wonderful lesson for us. What's the whole purpose of him seeking out all these things that he was looking at and trying riches and trying power and trying women and trying everything? What's the reason for doing it? It's how to find happiness under the sun. And this is how, is by appreciating what God's given us. This is the fourth time he said this. So now in chapter 6 now, he says, there is an evil which I have seen under the sun. Now, this is the third time just today that we've seen an evil thing under the sun. Here's a third thing. It says, and it's common among men. It's not something that only happens infrequently. It happens quite often. A man to whom God has given riches and wealth and honor, so that he lacks nothing for himself of all he desires. Yet God does not give him the power or the mastery of it to eat of it, but a foreigner consumes it. This is vanity and it's an evil affliction. This also is something that happens. It happened real frequently during Solomon's time and during the time of the judges. We know that Israel was getting attacked all the time by different nations. Starting down in Egypt, and then on both sides the Philistines, on one side the Amorites and the Hivites and the Hittites and the Jebusites and all these ites, constantly giving them trouble. And they would come in, and I was just reading in Kings the last couple days. I think it was Ahab, the king of Syria, came and said, "Hey, give me all your stuff." And so he just did. He knew he was not going to win the battle, so he just gave him all this stuff out of the temple and things. And so it's like the easy come, easy go kind of thing. Well, this is common among men. People get a lot of stuff, and then somebody else gets it. Nowadays, it's not as much. I mean, it still happens in nations where nation conquers another nation, but what usually happens, as far as we're concerned, is something happens with our investments, or somebody steals our car or whatever, just different kinds of things like that. But this is a bad thing, but it happens under the sun. It's part of life under the sun. God can give us all this stuff, and then somebody comes and takes it away. That happens. We need to be aware of that and realize that it does happen. He says that in verse 3, if a man begets 100 children and lives many years, so that his days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with goodness, or indeed he has no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better than he is. And here's why. It comes in vanity and departs in darkness, and its name is covered in darkness. Though this unborn child, has not seen the sun or known anything, this child has more rest than that man. So he's already mentioned this idea before in Ecclesiastes. He says before, it's better just to never have been born, which seems like that's one of those negative attitudes that people have. I wish I was dead, or I wish I'd never been born, that kind of thing. And he says a child that's never been born, the upshot of it is he hasn't seen or known anything, and so he may not have seen the good, but he also hasn't seen the crummy stuff, which we tend to concentrate on as the crummy stuff. And so he said, I don't care if you live 100 years or have 100 children and you live a long time. If you're not satisfied with goodness, you'd be better off if you're never born. Still, a stillborn child is better off than you are. That's how important it is to be satisfied with goodness, to enjoy the good that God has given us. He says, verse 5, verse 6, he says, even if he lives 1,000 years twice over, but has not seen goodness. So even if you live 2,000 years, if you have not seen goodness, and you can see something and then you can see it, having seen goodness means you not just see it with your eyes, but you appreciate it, you experience it. Have you seen the Grand Canyon? Have you really seen the Grand Canyon? That kind of thing. And so it doesn't matter how long you live, if you don't enjoy what God has given you, you're not satisfied with goodness, you might as well just have never been born, or might as well have been born with no breath in your lungs, because you're not getting anything out of it, even under the sun, let alone being able to take anything with you. I put over to the side there, true rest comes only in goodness. anything else is accompanied by troubles. If you want to have rest, appreciate what you have and enjoy the goodness that God has given you. That's the only source of rest there really is. Okay, he says at the end of verse 6, do not all go to one place. He's back to that theme again. Where does everybody go?
To the earth.
To the grave, back to the earth. All the labor of man is for his mouth, and yet his soul is not satisfied. Everything. That phrase is kind of an idiom. Everything you do is for your mouth. What's that saying? You're trying to get stuff to satisfy your person, this earthly life. Everything you do to get riches and all that kind of, it's to feed you, and it's not just feed you with food, but feed you with whatever, all that stuff you're trying to grasp after. But he says, and even so, all the work that a man does, and yet the soul is not satisfied. It satisfies the flesh to a certain extent, but the soul is not satisfied. That inner being there's still something missing. You can have all the things in the world, and there's still something missing. He says, for what more has a wise man than a fool? When it comes down to it, when Solomon died, wisest man in the world, what did he have more than that idiot out there that spent all his money on and blew it, got his inheritance like the prodigal son, blew his inheritance and acted foolishly, ended up with nothing. And then if he died, how much would he have less than what Solomon had? Nothing. They're the same. What more has the wise man than the fool? Really doesn't have anything when it comes down to taking anything with you when you go. He says, what does a poor man have who knows how to walk before the living? Here's a poor man that knows how to walk amongst the living. Is he going to be better off than a guy that's wealthy and doesn't know how to do it, doesn't know how to find happiness, doesn't know how to enjoy what he's got? A poor man can have more, can be richer in a real sense than a rich man because he knows how to enjoy what he's got. Jesse, our son, has gone twice to Africa, to Kenya for doing some mission work, and he's over there, and these people have nothing. I mean, they've got dirt floors, just a little hut, one room hut, dirt floor, a hole in the ceiling so smoke can go out. They don't have a kitchen. They just cook outside, have on a little fire. They don't have a stove or refrigerator or any of that kind of stuff. And those guys are smiling all the time. You go into their house and they sing a song to you as you're walking in. They'll welcome you into their home, and they just, the kids will take newspaper, wrap it up, make a ball, and kick it around like a soccer ball, and just perfectly happy doing that. And he said they've talked in times past of maybe we could just get some people to donate some soccer balls, just give to the kids. But the conclusion they ended up with is it's just going to cause trouble if you do, because if you give 4 people a soccer ball and there's 100 kids, what are the rest of them they're gonna fight? They're all gonna fight over those 4 soccer balls, and it's a hard situation. But the bottom line with it is these people are some of the happiest people on earth because they enjoy what they have, even though they don't have hardly anything. They enjoy life. Life is simple. and they enjoy their life. They got smiles on their faces. Okay.
Well, do you remember as a kid playing outside in the dirt with sticks and making fences and things like that? I have very fond memories of all of that. I didn't eat store-bought food. I
Yeah.
had an imagination.
Yeah. I mean, that happened with me too. And we'd go, I don't even know where we got these, but we'd find an old tire, so a bald tire, and we would roll it around, just roll it all over the place. And sometimes we'd use a stick to roll it, but we just roll it, and we'd build a little ramp out of dirt and roll it and let the tire jump over the ramp, and had a lot of fun. We'd dig a hole in the vacant lot and make a fort out of it, with nothing, just whatever we could find to make a roof over it. And I remember in Arizona, it gets hot in the summer, and there's these one kind of weeds, and I don't know what they're called, but they have a yellow flower to them, but they have a real, the foliage of them it's real soft. They don't have any pricklies or anything like that. And the vacant lots would get full of them, especially after the summer rains came, still be hot. But we could go out there and just lay in those because they were cool in the middle of the day, and just, oh man, this feels so good. Just enjoying that kind of stuff. And that's what he's driving at here. Enjoy what you got while you got it. And we've all experienced that and know how to do it, but sometimes we lose that as we get older and start wanting to get more and more, not being satisfied with the things that God has given to us. But verse 9 says, better is the sight of the eyes than the wandering of desire. This also is vanity and grasping for the wind. So better is the sight of the eyes. This is another one of those. They're seeing, and then they're seeing. It's better when you can really see what's in front of you rather than grasping at what's out there, desiring stuff, wandering around trying to find the answer, trying to find that thing that you're missing or whatever, trying to get more. It's better just, I guess they say it's like that saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Well, I got one, but man, I could have two and spend all your time looking for that second one or third one or fourth one. And if you get four, that's still not enough. Well, if I got four, I can get five. So, and you spend all the time doing that and not really seeing the blessing that you have. So bottom line is, make the most of what lies before you. What God has put in front of you, enjoy it. And that's your heritage. That's what God has given you. It keeps tying that in all through the Ecclesiastes with labor. It's not saying you just sit back and, okay, God, give me something and I'll enjoy it. No, we're meant to work, but God is the ultimate one that's blessing us, and we need to, instead of just working and working and working, trying to get more and more and more, enjoy what God gives you. Okay, well, my voice, I want to make sure I have enough voice left to preach. So I'm going to stop right there, and we'll just continue on with chapter 6 next week. Anybody have any comments or questions?